What's up, Michael? Zach. What did I say, Michael?
Let's get the bloopers out of the way first.
Because your last name is Michael, right?
Yeah, no, middle name.
Oh, that's right. Because I haven't saved you under Zach Michael. I don't know. And also, like, you spell your name in like 4 different ways. There's the normal Zach, then there's the Z-A-E-C.
Yes. Yeah, well, too hard for people to pronounce Z-A-E-C.
How is that pronounced?
It's Zach. But I mean, when people see it, they don't say Zach, right?
Okay, yeah, okay. They're like Zake.
Exactly.
So where's that name from? It's not an American name, is it?
Zach?
Yeah, I mean the Z-A-E-C.
Oh, that was just a creation, man.
Really?
That doesn't come from anywhere. Yeah.
Your parents just created it? Like, hey, let's
created it. Yeah.
That is so cool. Man, I don't even think you
so.
can. I don't think you can do that where I'm from. There's like a book of names, and you cannot just call your name like call your kid like, you know, like all these famous people that call their kids whatever random names.
Apple.
Yeah. Like Apple Peach Wisdom, you know.
Well, it comes from Zachary, right?
Yeah.
So yeah. But yeah, man, I guess that wasn't unique enough.
I like it. Hey man, that's cool. My parents almost gave me this crazy, stupid new school name. I don't even remember which one it was. They almost named my sister Felicitas. Like Felicity, the German version of Felicity. Okay. Which is a weird name, man. Don't call your kid like that.
It almost sounded Greek when you said it.
It's Latin. It means happiness.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is cool. You know, it's a cool thing. Yeah. But the poor kid, Mike, come on. Give your kids normal names, man.
Well, this is it, man. My name is a normal name.
Yes.
But I didn't get to enjoy that.
Yeah.
Right? So I was like, look, I'm doing something about this.
Yeah, man. So where are you tuning in from?
Vancouver.
Nice. You had a Thanksgiving and all that? Just do you guys do that in Canada? I can't remember.
Yeah, but we do it we do that unique too. That's in October.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
So you had that already.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Yeah. So Vancouver, man. So wait, you're at the coast in Vancouver, right?
Well, I'm right there, man.
Man, what are you doing? Yeah. What's up in your life, man? You're looking good. You're looking fresh. You're looking happy.
Thank you, buddy. Same to you.
Thanks.
Well, look, just building business, getting results for clients. Clients are getting amazing results, living life, wanting to travel.
What do you want more? What do you want more? For everybody who does not know the context, so Zach is our mindset coach. He's incredibly popular amongst our clients. People love the mindset call that they're getting with you, the weekly mindset call. I keep hearing good things about that. And of course, Zach has his own business as well, where he basically teaches how to overcome your own mindset blocks, how to basically perform on a higher level. I mean, Zach, you probably know better. Like, you can probably describe it in a more accurate way.
Yeah, well, that's essentially it. What we do is we help people to uncover the reasons why they sabotage. Okay, so behaviorally, mentally, emotionally, and understand the programs, the unconscious programs that are essentially running their feeling states and their actions, their behaviors. Yeah.
And you know, I just had a talk with my videographer. He's actually in the other room hustling, and we just had a quick 5-minute talk because I was in between calls. And I just randomly learned or relearned, because I'm aware of this, but it reemphasized myself, like how important it is to actually ask people how they're feeling. It's incredible. And then the reason why I relearned this is because just earlier I had a one-on-one. I have one-on-ones with all my staff. And even if it's just 30 minutes, 30 minutes a week, let's have a one-on-one, or 30 minutes, whatever, every 2-3 weeks. And it was really, really intense. I asked one of my staff members, how you doing, man? How's it going? And he just cried. Grown man just started crying. And I found that beautiful. First of all, that we live, at least in an environment within our company, where you can just show your feelings, and you don't have, because we are savages. Like our entire team is savage. We love banter. We love hustling. We're badass. Otherwise, I don't hire people that are not badasses. But at the same time, we're able to show transparency to each other. And then I really thought, like, man, when do regular people actually get asked how they're feeling, especially men? Like, when does it ever happen as a man in 2022, 2023 to be asked, in all honesty, I'm not like, how's it going, man? Like, I'm actually meaning like, hey, how are you doing? Like, when does that ever freaking happen? And that's where you then get people that are just being asked, how are you doing, for the first time in years, and they just start crying. And I think it's beautiful. I'm not making fun of anybody or anything. I just think it's beautiful to just reach out to somebody, an old friend, a family member, or someone that works in your team, and just honestly take your damn time and look them in the eye or look into the camera, whatever, and be like, hey, how are you doing, man? That's powerful stuff. And I'm sure that's kind of stuff that you deal with all the time.
Yes, sir. Exactly right. We go a lot deeper than how are you doing.
Yeah.
But it's yeah, like you said, I mean, especially for men today, it's, a lot of guys just aren't used to opening up. And so we create a space where people feel comfortable and safe to open up as much or as little as they need to. But yeah, I think that today people need to look at what's going on inside of them. Right. And I think that it's important, especially in a work environment, Max, where especially depending on the culture of whatever the company is, when people know, when the team members know that we're here together for more than just business, and we get to cultivate kind of like, an additional bond beyond just the position that one holds, I think it can bring more out of a team.
Hell yeah. Because I have this so many times where I'm like, oh, I have the next call now. It's 30-minute time slot, geez. And I'm like, damn, it's 30 minutes that I'll quote unquote never get back. But then after each one-on-one, I'm like, best 30 minutes I spent this week. Because a team member that is just given the opportunity to talk, to chat. And by the way, in these 30-minute one-on-ones, we don't talk about business. Rarely. It's usually just, how are you doing, man? What's going on in your life? I think that is like so much higher ROI. Like, it's probably one of the highest ROI things to do each and every week, to just have a 30-minute damn talk with staff, a one-on-one talk. Because that staff member is now going to, because again, like, when do we ever get someone that actually cares?
Especially,
Yeah, we rarely ever do. And then they're like, hey, look, and then when people get whatever, another opportunity to work somewhere else, they're going to think very thoroughly, like, okay, do I want to leave this company where I actually care, where I even have this sort of mentor-mentee relationship with someone within the team, be it the boss or the supervisor or the trainer or some senior staff member? Like, no, I don't want to leave this environment, because it's an environment where I'm listened to. And that's beautiful.
Yeah. Well, in that way, you're honoring the fact that a person is a human and more than just fulfilling a role, right? Doing a job.
Yeah. And I don't know, man. I think like, I think 2020, like it's quite a long time back now, but we're seeing the effects of that still. People having to be masked up all the time, the fear, just staying at home, because I feel like people are very busy all the time. And this busyness is also more or less subconscious. We bestow upon ourselves constant busyness, constant distractions, because we don't want to be with our thoughts. And then when the pandemic hit, a lot of people were forced to have a lot less distractions. They, stay at home, shut up, don't go out. And for a lot of these people, all of a sudden they were alone with their thoughts much more.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of people are like, oh, I'm fucked up. Like, I didn't know, for the last years, I've been distracting myself with Candy Crush and music and, all kinds of stuff. And those things are not bad, but I challenge you to spend an evening with yourself. I challenge you to spend 15 minutes meditating and doing nothing just to see what's actually going on within you. It's almost like an inventory check of your emotions, of your thoughts, and kind of stuff like that.
Essential. And I think, the past 2 years have really put people in a position where they don't have a choice, or they have less of a choice, because they're kind of forced in many ways now. Because this is like, I see this, well, in one way, I see this as like a giant trigger, a triggering event for people, for the collective of humanity. And so when people are faced with, they're put outside of their comfort zone, they're having to look at things about themselves, about the society that they live in, that in a new way that they haven't looked at previously. And that way is uncomfortable. And then, as you said, they're not distracted by the normal kind of distractions. And now they're forced to look deeper at the society they live in, themselves. And it's like a triggering event, because then they get to experience emotions and programs within themselves that they may have just been so kind of anesthetized before, where they didn't have that opportunity to go, oh yeah, you know what? I actually don't like this kind of work environment, or these aren't my values. My values are to spend more time with family. My values are to travel. My values are to be, at home, working at home, whatever the case is. So it's been a really interesting, I think, opportunity for people when you look at it that way.
I mean, it's beautiful that you said it. It's a damn opportunity. So many people all they see is them being victim. It's so important to not cry about, it's important to cry, but not to be a crybaby about things, and actually see the opportunity in things. Like, I've had my fair share of weeks, months of just wallowing in self-victim mentality all the time, like, oh, poor me, and this happened and that happened. And it sucks. It like lowers the quality of your life, man. It seriously lowers the quality of your life if you just create suffering, because all you do is create suffering for yourself when you feel sorry for yourself. It has zero upside. You just create unnecessary suffering, and it's tough. Many people need to know that. That's why I think, people like you are so damn important. And you're not just some random guy who's just like, I am a mindset coach now. Like, you actually have the background, you actually have the certificates, and you keep learning new things, because I keep hearing that as, now Zack is doing this, Zack is doing that. He's employing more and more techniques, and that's really, really powerful stuff. So actually, one thing that I wanted to ask you, Zack, is what can people do to stay healthy up there mentally?
I think it first starts with your standards, your level of standard. What will you tolerate? What will you accept or not accept within your own mind and body, in terms of your thought patterns and your feeling states? I think it boils down to those. It's all energy, frequency, and vibration, right? We've heard this quote before, and it's very true. And it's very simple. If you just start to look within, and when I say look within, I just mean to begin to watch yourself, watch your mind, watch your thought patterns. How are you consistently talking about yourself? How are you consistently talking to yourself? What is your normal way of feeling and being in the world? Do you look at the world through a negative lens? Do you look at the world through a lens of anger or resentment, hopelessness, whatever the case is? And if you just start to notice how you are and who you're being on a day-to-day basis, regardless of the context, whether you're at work, whether you're at home, whatever the case is, then you actually you become aware, and you become equipped with what you're doing that's creating the results in your life. So I just always say, start with awareness of who and how you're being on a day-to-day basis. Because if you're not aware, you're not aware of what you need to change. You're not aware of what's problematic in your life. And so it just starts there. And it's a big win. It may sound like, oh, okay, that's simple. It's too simplistic to maybe be beneficial. But the reality is, once you become aware of how you're being in mind and body, you're halfway there to changing your life.
Yeah, man. What's the other half?
Well, once you're aware of what you need to change, you then need to change it. Right?
Yeah.
So that's where things like people like myself, my program, or other mindset coaches and things like that, that's where we come in, to be able to help people let go of what they need to change, whether or not they're aware of it. Okay. But that's something that anyone can start with, is you just start to notice, how am I thinking? And keep it really simple. How am I thinking? What's my self-talk? What's my inner dialogue? Mm-hmm. Your inner dialogue is going to create your filter or lens through which you view your reality, your world. And then if you're consistently speaking in a specific way about yourself, which is the same as others, so it's all a reflection. If you're consistently speaking a certain way about yourself and the world around you, then that's what you're creating in your life, because we all have different life experience, right? Mm. And so just keep it simple.
Especially the word experience, like life experience. It's such a key word. Like, there's two people that can live exactly the same life, same job, same city, same encounters, but they're experiencing it completely differently. One might experience it as living hell, and the other one might experience it as living heaven.
Yeah.
And right. I don't know, man, the older I get, the more I value my self-talk, and also the more I realize how difficult it can be. Because I don't know, man, like, as a 20-year-old, to reframe something really quick was really damn easy for me. And the older you get, the more you kind of like set in your own ways. It's almost like, because you create these neurological pathways, and it's actually physically proven that, the more you think into a certain direction, the more neurological pathways are being created in your brain, the easier it is for your brain to kind of go down that neurological path again. So if you keep saying, like you said, like the frame is like, oh, the world sucks and I have bad luck, your brain has created a significantly more, motorways, so to speak, a much bigger highway of neurons in the brain that goes to that direction of like, yeah, the world sucks and I always have bad luck. And when I was 20, I heard that concept. I was like, that's pretty interesting. I'm going to be aware of it, And then I'm 32 now, and I'm like, this thing's really damn hard. Like, shit, I got some neurological pathways here that just crept up on me over the last 3-4 months, and they're like, damn, I wasn't aware. They're just here. They're just being created through the back door, but now they're here, and it's so easy to go down that path. It's so easy. And you're like, wait a minute. The entire day I've been going down that path of blah, blah, blah sucks, and so is fault, and this and that is unfair. And I find myself in the evening, and God damn it, I consider myself a smart person in this regard, and it still happens to me, So I'm like, you find yourself in the evening, and you're like, I have wasted my entire perfectly fine day just continuously going down that neurological path over and over and over and over again. And now in the evening, like you said, I have that awareness in it. I call myself out. I change it. Evening is a great evening, but I have unnecessarily created suffering for me this entire damn day. And it's hard, man. It's hard to get out of that. Like, you need to have some way, some sort of accountability measures, whether that's through a coach or whether that's a damn screen on the phone that says, watch your thoughts, or something like, like a background. You got to have something like that, because otherwise you just waste your life.
Yep, it's very true. Yeah. What we're finding now is that a lot of the thinking patterns are actually coming from stored negative emotions from the past. And so when we hold on to a lot of these lower energy frequencies that have been stored from past negative experiences, that gets trapped. That energy gets trapped in the body mind. The body mind is the unconscious mind, because the unconscious mind is not just what we think of in terms of mind and mental and the brain. It's from head to toe and beyond. So when let's say we're holding on to a lot of, the anger, the energy of anger, that energy frequency, if we're holding on to a lot of that frequency, that frequency will start to influence the thought patterns that we have and the self-talk. And so we're finding that it's the emotions that are actually dictating the lens through which you see the world. And so we can help ourselves by letting go of the self-talk, number one, like you said, right? Noticing that and saying, hey, snap out of it. I've been thinking negative for 2 hours.
Yeah.
And then if we go straight to the emotion and just let go of that stored emotion, we find that the self-talk or the consistent invasive thought patterns tend to go with it.
It's so crazy how we humans consider ourselves superior because we have things like emotions. I don't think animals really have emotions, or at least not to the degree we have it. I'm pretty sure like a dog can get angry and stuff like that, but to what degree that's just instinct, to what degree is actually emotions is of course, up to debate, but it's this very thing that makes us human, that makes us quote unquote superior, that is also our greatest weakness that can really fuck up our life,
Mm-hmm. Yep. Animals do trap these emotions as well.
Oh yeah?
Yes. And what they found is that the more domesticated an animal is, let's say a dog, the wider the range of emotion that they actually learn to experience. Versus like a wild animal has a smaller range of emotions that they experience because they're not around humans.
So they're like learning it from the humans, they're learning it from their owners?
Yes. And so domesticated animals actually have they're more susceptible, they're more likely to trap and store negative emotions because they're around. See, if you think of it in terms of, okay, a dog is mostly within the proximity of his owner or the family, right?
Yeah.
Now, when someone is in an emotional state, that energy doesn't just stop at the physical body. It goes beyond. It goes outside of the physical body because we have a bioenergetic field or an auric field, right? An aura. That energy of that emotion is just information. And so it extends beyond your physical body, and the dog in this case within your vicinity will literally pick up that information. So for example, we all know that if let's say you meet someone new and you get a feeling, right? You go, ooh, maybe it's a bad vibe. You go, I don't know. I don't want to be around this person. I don't want to be in this room. I don't want to be with these people. I don't know why, but I just get that feeling. This is the kind of thing we're talking about, or vice versa. You go into a space where you're really resonating with people. You've never met them before. And you just go like, these are my people. This is gonna be a good time. Yeah. You're just energetically picking up on a vibrational match, a resonance. So this is going on. This is like sub-communication. We are communicating with others, whether we're aware of it or not.
Do you think that, that kind of blew my mind with the domesticated animals picking that up. Do you think it's some sort of, when you're a wild animal and you're just constantly quote unquote busy fighting for survival, your nervous system just knows I'm not going to develop any emotions now because that would just cost energy and probably lead to decisions that are not going to be beneficial for the survival of this entity. But then once they're domesticated, aka the dog doesn't need to worry about survival, he gets fed and stuff like that, and then emotions are something that that occur when there is quote unquote space within the system. It's almost like they say, the birth of philosophy was facilitated by the fact that we did agriculture, because now we didn't have to hunt and gather anymore. People could sit around while the food is just growing. Ergo, they started having the bandwidth of just thinking about the cosmos and where we come from. So maybe it's something like that with emotions as well,
Interesting. Yeah.
I mean, I have no clue, but I'm just,
there's so much, man.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much we don't know, right?
Yeah. It's crazy, man. It's crazy that there's still a stigma around psychotherapy, for example. Like, well, you need a therapist. What the hell is wrong with you? I mean, man.
I think it depends on the culture and where you are
Good point.
geographically, right? I think that plays a role. Nowadays, a lot of people, like a lot of psychotherapists, psychologists are now just rebranding as coaches.
Genius.
You know, because look, if you have a performance coach, you have someone that specializes in a certain area, that's nothing to be ashamed of.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to grow. Well, not everyone wants to grow, but if you want to grow, I think that's an asset, you know?
It's actually a good point, because it's funny, because pro athletes, absolute God tier heroes like Michael Jordan, they probably had psychotherapists the entire time. It was just that psychotherapist was embodied by a coach. Like, it's so much mental. And have you seen The Last Dance, the Netflix documentary?
No, I haven't. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
It's so good. It's about, the last season or something like that of the Chicago Bulls with Michael Jordan, or some of the, or all seasons. I can't remember. But I didn't know that, because I don't watch basketball, but I do know Michael Jordan. I think it's pretty cool. And just watching the documentary, I really realized that how much of basketball is mental. And then they all talk about the mental games Michael Jordan would play on the court, just to destroy the opponents, just to outwit, not only outplay, but also outwit them. And it's kind of something that had to dawn on me over the years, because I always just thought, okay, athletes, the one who's the fastest or the strongest is going to win. No, man, they're all roughly the same strength, same speed. They all have roughly same kind of training, same kind of nutrition, but it's those who get the edge that are those that have the mentality, that have the mental training, the mental fortitude, that have received proper mental training. Those are the ones that get out that extra 5% that they need to get an edge.
Yep. It reminds me of a study that was done many years ago at the University of Chicago with the basketball team there. And they did a study where they split into three groups. Control group obviously didn't do anything. It was a free throw study, so they wanted to see if they could improve their ability to execute free throws. And so one group did physical practice. One group did nothing different, just nothing. Then another group only visualized. Now, at the end of the study, they found that the group that visualized achieved the same results as the group that practiced physically. Now, the group that visualized only visualized.
Damn.
Now, how did this work? The group that was doing the physical practice, all they were there to do was just practice, right? As they normally would. The group that visualized, they didn't physically practice, but when they visualized, they practiced perfectly. So they were not held back by a reality that would throw them off, meaning that the group that was practicing physically, they didn't make every basket, right? But the group that visualized did, because they could create whatever reality they wanted.
Get out of here, man.
So when it came time to execute, they were able to execute to the same degree of skill.
Damn. Man, you know what that is? That's the tattoo I have, man. There is no spoon. From the Matrix.
I love it.
It's the exact same thing. It's like, don't try to bend the spoon. Instead, realize that there is no spoon. And if you know that, I mean, we're going super meta here now. People listening to this, they're like, what is going on? I thought it was a business podcast, man. We're talking about the Matrix now. But hey, I mean, that's the key too. Like with business, like it's incredible. I'm going to tell you one thing. There is clients that come to us because, we're focused predominantly on people that have a coaching business or a service providing business. And that includes kind of two rough target audience split in the middle. One are the people that already do coaching and they want to scale, right? They're making 8, 9, 10, 15, 20K a month. They want to get 100K plus and so on and so forth. They come to us, we scale them. Then there's also people that are beginners that are like, listen, I'm in my 9-to-5 job. I want to build a coaching business, kind of be free, make money online and so on and so forth. And sometimes we have coaches that come to us or beginners that come to us, and I'm like, it's going to be harder for them to build a business and make their first 6 figures a year. And then there's other people that come to us and they have incredible background, 40 years of consulting in a company, clearly the most amazing skill set, experience, 40 years, but never been self-employed, never had their own business. Mm-hmm. And I've tried to kind of see the patterns over the years. I mean, I've been coaching people now in business for 4 or 5 years, something like that. I've tried to see patterns and kind of predict who's going to do well and who's not going to do well. I'm never right. Yeah. And that's the craziest thing.
It's hard to do, man.
It really is. There's people there, they have 40 years of experience and they just cannot get over the fact that they have to be self-responsible, that they have to follow the path that we lay out to them, that they have to ask us questions, that they have to reply to us when we hold them accountable, and they have a really hard time. And then you have someone relatively young, relatively, naive, so to speak. And like, yeah, I'm coming in, want to make money, let's go. And they have what they lack in experience. They just make up by having proper mindset of like, yeah, okay, I'll execute. Yeah, all right, why wouldn't I do it? And that's kind of also the naivety I had when I started. I was like, yeah, why not? Like, why shouldn't I make $1 million? I don't know. If are these the steps? Oh, these are the steps to make $1 million. All right, I'll just do them, and it's crazy. Do you have the same too with clients that come to you where you kind of say, this one's going to do well, this one's going to have a harder time? Or,
I do my best to kind of not project an expectation, even just in my own mind, and try and figure that out. I will say, like, to your point about, like having that kind of naivety of just go, oh, okay, these are the steps to do this and that. That's really all it takes, is just your desire for a goal, to achieve a goal, and then not getting in your own way of achieving that goal. And oftentimes when people are, let's say they learn in the school system that there's only one way to do something. If I get the answers wrong here, well, then that means I've failed. And so there's kind of only one way. And so oftentimes in that system, people just learn, well, I have to have a certain level of IQ in order to succeed in this system. And then when you get out into the real world, it's a free-for-all. And it's really just the playing field is leveled. And it's, look, how bad do you want it? How consistent will you be? In terms of also your mindset as well. And look, man, I mean, it's a range. Like, at this point, I just kind of let it go and go, look, I let everyone surprise me.
And do you get surprised still, where you're like, oh, wow.
Oh yeah.
Sick. Yeah. What do you think is the most, like, if there was like a character trait that was the most beneficial to work with a mindset coach, where it's like, that's the character trait, like if you have that, or if you try to develop that, you're going to do best?
Do you mean, so like as a person that's going to enter like a mindset coaching program?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Like what character traits kind of facilitate success, if there is one?
Oh man, it's just being willing to do the work. Just be coachable. Coachability.
Yeah.
Coachability. Just be coachable. If you come in and you put your preconceived notions to the side, like let's say you have a lot of experience and you've done several programs and about mindset and psychology and energy and all of these kinds of things. That could help you, but it could also inhibit your progress as well if what you're learning in the new program is challenging that. And you go, well, I already have a mindset, I know this and that. That could hinder you, and that ego could get in the way. If you just lay it all to the side and go, look, I'm here to humble myself, I'm here to learn. If you do that, I find that people that just literally put their ego to the side and be as coachable as they can, those are the guys that do very well.
Yeah, that makes sense. And it's funny. I talked about this on the previous episode, and it kind of fits together. And it's again, like, it's going to be another one where people are like, what? So when I took ayahuasca and I was participating in a ceremony, what I saw, because it's a hallucinogen, you literally trip, you hallucinate. And one of the most memorable hallucinations was seeing little monkeys with very sharp teeth, and they were laughing at me, and they were like, and it was not like they almost laughed at me because they made fun of me for me taking myself so seriously. That was the communication that I've received. They were not speaking or anything. They were just monkey faces laughing at me, and they looked very comical. And it's really, really crazy. A lot of times when you hear other people talk about their experiences with ayahuasca, they see the same entities. They say, but they title them slightly differently. Some people say, I see, joker faces. I see funny faces. And they all say the same. They're all laughing at me for taking myself so seriously. And that's really crazy if you think, like, here you take the substance, dimethyltryptamine, that is, by the way, naturally occurring in our brains. Dimethyltryptamine is the very substance that makes us dream at night. So dreams are nothing other than hallucinations, if you think about it, which in and of itself is wild. I mean, how wild is it that we humans, I mean, imagine you're an alien. I'm getting sidetracked here, but check this out, Zach, because I love talking to you about stuff like that. Imagine an alien and you're learning about humans, and you learn that these human monkeys without hair, these crazy apes that turn into humans, every day they pass out for 6 to 8 hours. They get paralyzed. They cannot move, right? Sleep paralysis. And they wildly hallucinate for 6 to 8 hours. And I'm not talking about you see some colors. No, they hallucinate so wildly that in most cases they cannot even discern that from actual reality. And then they wake up, they dust themselves off and continue with their ways as if nothing happened. How wild is it that every single day, in a couple hours from me recording this podcast, I'm going to lie on a mattress wildly hallucinating while being physically paralyzed? How crazy. Think about it, man. How crazy is that?
It's wild. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Yeah,
Go
man.
ahead.
I mean, look, what if it is more than hallucination?
Oh, you're going deep now.
Well, these plant medicines are psychedelics, right?
Yeah.
So it could be seen that we're hallucinating, and maybe for some people, sometimes it is. But what if we're also tapping into other planes of existence?
I mean, that's what many cultures believe it to be. A lot of, like, the ancient Egyptians, the civilizations that were settling in the Amazon, they all believe that this is like a door to another dimension and stuff like that. And I'm not here to discuss that. I don't know. I'm clearly just an idiot whose expertise is business. So I don't consider myself spiritually qualified to answer these questions. I just love talking about it because you might be right. You might be wrong. I don't know. But it certainly feels like that when you're experiencing it. I can tell you that. It doesn't feel like hallucinations. It's just like a dream. It feels real.
Well, look, you've said before, right? You just said that, okay, that was your experience, and you've heard many others share the same kind of experience. Maybe the faces were different.
Yeah.
But I've heard those kinds of things as well. And then they go and they see, what is it? There's like, it's not clowns. It's like, there's certain like court gestures. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay. I mean, how is it that so many different people are there's a pattern of experience?
Yeah. It's crazy, man. I think there's so much more about the mind that we haven't learned yet. And it's such an unexplored, like, people will look back in like 100 years to like, the people in the 21st century with their Freud and psychology, man, they were so far off. It was a good start, but they were far off, man.
Yeah. Look, dude, I see, you mentioned Freud and kind of where psychology or modern psychology got its start. I tend to see it now as like a collective. So, for example, you, me, we all have, I think, trillions of cells, right, in our body.
Yeah.
Now, if we were to look at the human collective, we could look at each individual as one of those cells.
Oh.
And so if we have because Carl Jung gave us the theory of the collective unconscious. So we all have our kind of individual mind, our individual conscious and unconscious mind, but we share a connection between our minds. And so if we look at humanity as a collective, as almost like a singular organism in a way, then we can see these different stages of evolution as just as you would experience like a singular human. They start as an infant, a child, an adolescent, a teen, and they grow into adulthood. And now I'm kind of seeing that all of these different stages have all represented the collective of humanity growing in awareness from first, okay, Freud, and then Jung comes along and says, hey, there's more than what you're saying there is. There's synchronicity, and what synchronicity? And that was perfectly appropriate for what humanity was ready for at that time. Mm-hmm. And each and every one of us is contributing through ayahuasca experiences, through anything, through all the different types of human experience. We're contributing more data, more information on a daily basis as we all learn about reality and try and figure this out. So in other words, I see it as like, we're just one singular organism that's expressing as all these different faces and cultures and people, but we're all here to grow together in our understanding of reality.
Damn, man, that's deep. That's deep. But I agree. I really agree. There's a lot of great books about that. And I read a lot of quote unquote woo-woo books without getting myself too crazily into it. But I think I still extracted a lot of great knowledge. For example, Levels of Energy by Frederick Dodson, or The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. There's always two ways to read such kind of books. There's the ways to go full on woo-woo, and there's ways to just be like, okay, like what can I learn? Like you said yourself, like be coachable, right? Like, let me take my preconceived notions off. Let me leave them by the door and just see what this guy has to say. And especially Levels of Energy by Frederick Dodson was very interesting because he basically, what he does is he just takes this concept of energy, kind of what we've talked about before, and he just puts it on a scale. So it's like easily quantifiable for realistically thinking people, I guess, or for like, less open-minded woo-woo people. And he basically says, like whatever, I don't know the numbers anymore. Like 0 to 100 is apathy, 100 to 200 is anger, and I'm butchering this, but 200 to 300 is envy or whatever. And then 400 to 500 is creativity, and 500 to 600 is love, and then 700 to 800 is enlightenment, like stuff like that. And he basically says these levels of energy, they're denoting they work on a personal level, but they also work on a collective level. So when you go, for example, to a city, and this is really crazy, you feel the difference when you go, for example, from from an Eastern European city, homeless people on the streets, it's cold, people are very poor, people have been fucked over by government for like decades, and you go from there to Switzerland, you literally feel a completely different vibe, so to speak, completely different energy. The level of energy has been raised. So there is definitely some sort of collectivity going on there. And you see the same in periods of history where people were just murdering and butchering and slaughtering each other for decades. World War II, all of Europe was probably in this, quote unquote, low vibrational energy state. And it's really hard to get out of that because low vibrational energy, or, bad vibes, want to create more bad vibes. But then also when you create an environment, a small bubble for yourself of awareness, like you spoke yourself, of self-love, of just putting a little bit of awareness into your thoughts and your emotions thusly, and also your body. And you start with that bubble for yourself. And then you say, okay, let me extend this bubble to my family, to my friends, to my team. I think now you're actually, like you said, you're contributing to something bigger.
Yes, completely agree. We use this energy scale to help people understand why they're experiencing life the way that they are. If we just first understand, okay, this is where one calibrates in terms of their level of consciousness. Another way of describing it is level of consciousness.
Yeah.
Then it makes things much clearer as to why they experience life, business, relationships in the way that they do. Because, oh, look, I'm actually vibrating more consistently at this level. No wonder I experience life in this way. And so it's a good point. Like when you'll see it very clearly, right? When you go from different countries or different neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you go, well, look, you go to like the bad neighborhood in your city and well, okay, why is it this way here? Apart from politics and the way that the city is run, you can see in those pockets of cities, the energy frequency in certain areas is the way it is. And as soon as you leave that and you get into a, nice neighborhood, feel lighter, feel different, feels better. Like attracts like. And it like this can be a very kind of high level conversation, but I think to keep it really useful and practical for people is that if you just understand that like goes to like, then all we need to do is say, well, what am I? How am I? And who am I being? And then you get really honest and objective with yourself. You got to do that. You have to be willing to like do what you said earlier, which is call yourself out and say, okay, this is why I've been experiencing this because I've been stuck here in this energy field for this long. Now it's like, am I ready to change? Right?
It starts with yourself. It starts with yourself. It always is. And it's hard, man. Because starting with yourself also includes, to a degree, I think, self-blame. And it's easier to blame others, and it's hard to blame yourself. So, man, that's why I love what you do. And that's why I love having you on these podcasts. Every time I have a podcast with you, people are like, dude, it's so sick. Like, even the guy that edits the podcasts, he's like, bro, the last episode I edited was so sick with Zack. It's these
awesome.
things are powerful, and it's kind of cool that our generation kind of facilitates the marriage between energy, woo-woo mindset, and practicality. There's so many entrepreneurs that I've been working with, both entrepreneurs that make less money than me, entrepreneurs that make more money than me. And I'm just using this to just kind of quantify, because money is easily quantifiable. There's so many entrepreneurs out there that have that admit that a large portion of their success is due to being aware of energies, being aware of even if they don't call it energy, even if they just call it mindset, because you don't have to call it woo-woo energy, just call it mindset if you want, or psychology. And at a certain level, that becomes more and more important to also adhere to that, to also, realize what's going on within me emotionally while I'm doing outreach, while I'm on a sales call, while I'm managing the team. And God knows I fucked up so many times with my own emotions and have negatively affected people in my staff, people in my programs. Nobody's perfect. But at the same time, also, when I was really aware of it and I was spot on with my words and the emotions I projected, I also know I really lifted a lot of people out of shitty mindsets, out of bad days, bad months, bad weeks. So that stuff is really powerful. And that's why I think it's great to have you on board with us, but also just to have you do your thing, because there needs to be more guys like you that are educated, that are experienced, that know what the hell they're doing.
There's more and more.
Beautiful.
There's more and more coming, Max. Just to jump off that point that you shared earlier, because we're talking a lot about energy and levels of consciousness. Near the beginning of this podcast, you said, look, one of the things that we do with our team is we have these one-on-ones. And I noticed that when I just ask someone how they're doing, like genuinely, honestly, it opens something up within that person. And if you look at why is that? Why is asking such a simple question so important for someone? Because when you ask that, when you take the time and you ask a personal, important question, if you look at it from a level of energy, I'm kind of showing this like scale right here in my mind, and you choose to ask an important question out of care, that could be the energy of love that suddenly becomes ignited in that moment between you and that person.
Damn, man. So true.
So it's real. It's tangible.
Yep. And that's how you facilitate change, be it for yourself, for your financial situation, but also for an energy situation of the people around you. Zack, as always, man, it's been a blast. Where can people find you? How can people reach you when they want to know more about you and your stuff?
Yeah, go to selfmasteryaccelerator.co.
It's all together, or no hyphens in between?
Nope.
All right. Anything else? Facebook, can they reach you, email you? Somebody has a personal question.
Yeah, probably the best way to get in touch with me directly is through social. So Instagram, Mr. Zack Michael. Okay. Yep. You can also find me on Facebook as well. Okay, Zack Michael. Really easy.
Zack Michael. Yep. I mean, also, if you can't find you, go to my Instagram, go to my followers, type in Mr. type in Zack, and you should pop up.
Yeah.
You should pop up. Man, it's been a pleasure. Let's do more of these, as always.
Let's do it, man.
Let's do more of these. What's next? What are you going to do today?
Today, well, after this, I'm probably going to hit the gym. We go to the gym, and I don't know. We'll see what I get into, man.
Love it.
How about you? What goes down in Prague on a Friday night?
Well, I've hit the gym very hard today. Very happy. I'm going to have some chicken now, then have another one-on-one with my videographer, head of visuals, and then we're going to go have a team dinner. I'm going to get some Wagyu steak and just let the good times roll, man.
Sounds good, bro.
Join us one day, man.
I love it.
Come over to Europe,
definitely,
bro.
Definitely. Yeah.
Anytime. The door is open for you.
Sounds good, man. I'm down.
All right, man. Epic, man. Yo, much love. Thanks so much.
Thank you, brother. You
and
too.
stay in touch.